Call the meeting to order, please. Can we have a roll call?
Sarah Chavilicek,
Here.
Diane Vanderwell,
Here.
David Blako, James Barnes,
Here.
Larry Chesney,
Here.
Peter Gower, absent, Mark Johnson,
Here.
Shelley Reed, and Kathleen Taylor.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Johnson, would you lead us in the pledge? Thank you. Next item of business is to approve the agenda.
Madam Chair, move to approve.
Commissioner Chesney, second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Vanderwell and seconded by Commissioner Chesney. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next item is public comment. Do we have any public comment?
There's none.
Thank you. Item 5, approval of the minutes from the January 23rd, 2020 Regional Planning Commission meeting.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Vanderwell, I move to approve the minutes of the January 23rd, 2020 Regional Planning Commission meeting.
Commissioner Chesney, second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Now on to business of the day.
Thank you, Madam
Director
Chair.
Smith.
Jeremy Smith, Interim Director for the record. Item 6A for possible action, public hearing. Regional Plan Conformance Review under 2012 Regional Plan. Washoe County Master Plan, Spanish Springs Area Plan Amendment, Continuum of Care Facilities Seniors, CR 20-009, an amendment to Table C3 of the Spanish Springs Area Plan, a component of the Washoe County Master Plan, by adding the Continuum of Care Facilities Seniors use type to that table. The result would be to allow that use in the neighborhood commercial and medium-density suburban regulatory zones with the approval of a special use permit by the Board of Adjustment. The Continuum of Care Facility Senior Use Type is a commercial use type that involves the provision of housing, activities, and health services by establishments in order to allow older individuals to age in place. Associated facilities may include independent living, assisted living, nursing care, and hospice care, as well as accessory housing for staff and medical facilities and services for residents. We have Chris Tolley to give the presentation.
Good evening, Commissioners. Chris Tolley, Team RPA for the record. The case before you is a Regional Plan Conformance Review for a Washoe County Master Plan Amendment, Continuum of Care Facilities, Seniors, case number CR 20-009. Here is the regional location map showing the Spanish Springs Area Plan extent. The subject area is identified in an orange outline. As introduced, the request is an amendment to the Washoe County Master Plan, Spanish Springs Area Plan to include the Continuum of Care Facilities Seniors as a use type within the neighborhood commercial and medium-density suburban regulatory zones. The result would be to allow that use in the regulatory zones with an approval of a special use permit by the Washoe County Board of Adjustment. Additionally, the subject zones are located in Washoe County's portion of the Truckee Meadows service areas, or TMSA, and that is shown in the brown outline on the map. Finally, the proposal would mirror the regulatory zone classification for Continuum of Care Facilities, Seniors, and other area plans throughout Washoe County. And then on to the review criteria. Policy 4.1.3 of the regional plan identifies 6 factors that the RPC must consider, which are listed on this slide. We have touched on some of these factors. In addition, the proposed amendment is not likely to impact natural resource constraints, as the area within the Spanish Springs Area Plan that is also part of the TMSA is not generally developmentally constrained, and the Spanish Springs Area Plan contains policies relating to development within sensitive areas, including wetlands, wildlife habitat, slopes, and public infrastructure for sewer, flood, and water would be required through the special use permit and/or building permit review process, and would be based on a specific proposal. Finally, in relation to the goals and the policies of the regional plan, regional planning staff has not identified any significant conformance issues and recommends approval of the proposal based on consistency and/or compatibility with the review factors listed in this policy. And finally, the suggested motion You can find this on the screen or on page 17 of your packet. This does conclude my presentation. Staff, as well as Washoe County staff, are available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a public hearing item. Do we have any public comment on this?
There's none for this item.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have questions for staff or Washoe County staff? Commissioner Chesney.
I move to find the Continuum Care Facility Seniors Amendment to the Washoe County Master Plan, Spanish Springs Area Plan in conformance with the 2012 Truckee Meadows Regional Plan, based on findings listed in the staff report.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Commissioner Vanderwell, second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Chesney and seconded by Commissioner Vanderwell. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item B.
Thank you. Jeremy Smith for the record. Item 6B for possible action, presentation and update on the Truckee Meadows Regional Planning Agency work program for current fiscal year, including the review of existing master plans and facility plans following adoption of the 2019 Truckee Meadows Regional Plan. And we have policy analyst Nate Kusha.
Good evening, Commissioners. For the record, Nate Kusha, Team RPA. I'm going to talk about our work program and what's going on, what we're doing, and what we're going to be doing coming up. So, with that, overhead, you kind of have a timeline of all the different things I'm going to touch on in the presentation. You can see some of these things we're planning on having finished before the beginning of next fiscal year, which starts July 1st. And some things are ongoing and will be starting at that new fiscal year. And we'll talk about all these things throughout the presentation. So first up, our regulatory functions, right? We have two main tracks we're on right now. We have, of course, our regular item conformance reviews, where you just saw the continuum of care, other things of that nature, master plan amendments, projects of regional significance as they come in. We'll continue to do those, obviously. And along with that, we have our master plans and facilities plans conformance review. So this is the review that we updated the regional plan. Hope you guys know about that. So it's our statutory obligation to now go and review all of our local government master plans and affected entity facility plans. So we're currently doing that. We have Reno and Sparks master plans that we're currently under review. We expect to see those at your next meeting in March, end of March. And then we have our others, which are, we have Washoe County's master plan, we have the Western Regional Water Commission's Regional Water Management Plan, RTC's Regional Transportation Plan, et cetera. We're going to be seeing those at your next three meetings. So next meeting, we have Reno and Sparks master plans. And then in April, we'll do another 2 or 3, and then the final 2 or 3 will be in May. So we'll be done with all of those by May, meeting our obligation of the 180-day review. Now, one thing to note with these reviews is that the way we have found conformance historically, and we're kind of carrying it forward into this review with some tweaks, and we'll talk about those, is the scheduled additions. So NRS kind of outlines the timeframes by which we have to review the master plan and facility plans for conformance, and it's kind of unreasonable to expect that the jurisdictions and entities will be able to kind of update everything that needs to be updated in their plans within that timeframe. It's a pretty short review. So the way we find conformance is what we call the list of scheduled additions. So we go through the plans, we make notes of anything that maybe doesn't conform at this time with the new regional plan, and we note that down in the list of scheduled additions. Go ahead and kind of show you an example of how that goes now. So on the left side there in the column is the addition list. So this kind of notes what's missing from the plan, what's not not in conformance with the regional plan. And then on the right side, we have the schedule. And this is the time frame by which we expect the jurisdiction or entity to go ahead and add this to their plan. Historically, we've done it kind of this way, where we have the list and we have like summer 2016 you can see here for the time frame. What we're looking at is kind of making that a little bit stricter and kind of delineating an actual month. So instead of summer, maybe June or July 2016, right? Just to make things a little more strict. In addition, we're looking to line up any of these with maybe already planned amendments to a jurisdiction or a affected entity's facilities plans. They may already have some planned amendments. We can kind of wrap it in with those. In addition, one thing we're really looking to do that we haven't done well, I would say historically, is really follow up on the additions. So if we set a time frame, we say July 2016, then to check back in July 2016, bring it back to you guys and say, hey, you guys approved this with this scheduled. We're here to kind of report back on that schedule. Was it completed? Do we need to extend? What needs to happen at that point? So I think that's all on that. After that, we have our data analytics track. So there's a couple things going on here. We have the consensus forecasts being updated this year. We're currently working on the spatial disaggregation of that. A team has been formed with members, representatives from the local governments, as well as the different affected entities all involved in consensus forecasts to kind of go over a review and kind of set up the methodology for the spatial disaggregation. So that's currently underway. We have the Truckee Meadows annual report. We're also currently working on that. We're going to have this done by the end of this fiscal year. And this is going to be, we have our annual reporting mechanism right now where we request the annual reports from the local jurisdictions and affected entities. They kind of send us some answers to questions we've sent out. We've kind of kept that format for this year. We've sent those out. We've requested them. I don't know if we've received any back yet, but we should be receiving them soon. So that's kind of stayed the same as far as that portion. The difference that we're doing is we're kind of hoping to kind of up the level a little bit and really synthesize the information that we get from those reports and bring that as part of the Truckee Meadows annual report, which also, if you're here for the update, you know was gonna hopefully include a lot of data and metrics that we're gonna be kind of measuring and gonna be looking back over time too to kind of set the baseline for this first TMR. And so along with that, right now we're doing a lot of data cleanup because our data's kind of gotten out of date as we've kind of worked through the regional plan update. That's where we're at with that. And hopefully you get all that cleaned up and we're gonna synthesize those reports I was talking about and we'll bring that to you guys as the official Truckee Meadows annual report by the end of this fiscal year. Finally, we have our upcoming plans. So everything I talked about prior to this slide, we will have complete by the end of this fiscal year, so July 1st. And with exception of our ongoing performance reviews, those will be continuing, obviously. Then we have our upcoming plans. So we have the two kind of major initiatives that came from the 2019 regional plan, which are the Natural Resources Plan and the Public Infrastructure Investment Plan. As you guys probably remember, the one is to kind of, the natural resource plan, we're going to coalesce all of the organizations dealing with natural resources, refine our understanding of natural resources in our areas, come out with that map of areas that aren't suitable for development, as well as hopefully get some more information to refine our natural resource element, the policies within the regional plan. And then the public infrastructure investment plans, that big initiative to kind of coalesce all of the public infrastructure and service information into one document and kind of have a central location where you can find all of that information, aligning the infrastructure planning with our land use planning. Both of those we're currently holding off right now, getting these other things done with that we have to do up front, and we're gonna be starting these the new fiscal year. So July 1st, we're trying to hopefully kick off both of these projects at that time. Also, the governing board actually at their last meeting requested that we kind of come back to them with kind of more detailed outline of what's going to be contained within these plans. So we're going to outline that, we'll bring it to them, we'll also bring that back to you guys so you have that same information showing kind of our outline for what's going to be here. So with that, there is a suggested motion on the screen. We don't necessarily need a motion for this item, but if you guys do have some specific feedback that you'd like to give us, you can go ahead and slide that in here. We'll take that. Otherwise, that's all. And I'm open for any questions.
Commissioners, any questions for staff? Okay,
Great.
thank you.
Yes.
I did give some to Jeremy, and he wrote them down.
Great.
You're just lucky tonight, that's
Okay, item 7, reports, member and directors' reports.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jeremy Smith, the record. I do have a short director's report for you, starting with some good news. At the last Regional Planning Governing Board meeting, the Governing Board adopted formally the proposed budget, and that's really great. Yeah, right, I know. And it constituted a 7% increase to the annual allocations from each jurisdiction, which we should hold in a steady state for the next 2 years so that we won't increase next year, but that's a sizable chunk. And what it's really allowed us to do is hire Shani Sousa on right now as a full-time regular regional planner. She's been working with us for years, plural now, and so finally to get her into a full-time position is fantastic. Likewise, since the recession, the staff at Team RPA, we've gotten some raises. They've always been a cost of living adjustment, and that's good because you need to keep up with inflation, but it does have impacts to the salary schedules, and it's a permanent impact. And so merit-based raises were never a thing, but we've actually been able to get those reinstated as part of this budget. So now we'll be performing annual performance evaluations, and merit-based raises will become a part of the scene. So very exciting there. Likewise, as Nate was mentioning, the NR plan and the PIP, one of the reasons that those things are starting at the next fiscal year point, well, number one is that we have a lot to do to finish those items that Nate just mentioned. But also, we're collecting money right now that had been allocated for the regional plan update. We're basically putting that aside. It's about $115,000, and that will be a fund that will be used to support any sort of consultant work or whatever might be necessary to pull off these plans. That's going to be vetted with the city and county managers. So we're all in this together, kind of a thing. So that's fantastic in terms of the budget. Maybe less exciting news for this body is that at the most recent Regional Planning Governing Board meeting, the Silver Hills reconsideration, that ended up being overturned from your guys' findings, so that is actually going to move forward. Further, at the April 9th meeting, there's been 4 formal appeals of the daybreak finding of conformance at this body, and so we'll be hearing that to the Regional Planning Governing Board or with them on April 9th. We're actually going to do a evening meeting in that case to facilitate public participation in that meeting. So stay tuned for that. And then finally, I've had some questions from commissioners about training, RPC training. It is a requirement of NRS that we train you guys to do this job. And I would say that our organization has been not as diligent as we ought to be in terms of that. So we're going to reach out to you with an email. We have some training materials that we feel are still appropriate, and we'll start with that. But we actually need to get the training approved by the governing board. So what we'll be doing is working to get a kind of a new training schedule updated. But there are certainly some things we can start with straight away. Orientation meeting, if you guys are planning to attend the state APA conference or you attended last year's, APA conferences count as part of the training. So more to come on that soon, right? But I'm pretty sure that we're behind with all of you. So you'll all be getting an email to get the required training. And with that, one last thing. We've still been hearing, even tonight, items under the 2012 regional plan. That's no one's favorite thing. But we have, I believe, in March coming, our first 2019 review. So that'll be exciting to finally get to that next level. That's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Item B, legal counsel report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jessica Prendy for the record. Nothing to report tonight.
Thank you. Item 8, requests for future agenda items. Seeing none. Item 9, do we have any public comment?
There's none.
I do offer a public comment. Commissioner Barnes had a birthday yesterday, so happy birthday, Commissioner Barnes. Item 10, written correspondence?
We have none.
Okay. Item 11.
So moved.
Thank you, everyone.